5 years ago, I embarked on a crazy adventure. My mom came into my room one day and she said, "Life with a vent. I think you should create a YouTube video." And I thought, me? What do I have to say? What do I have to share? No, no, I can't make a video. And my mom said, "I have been watching a lot of YouTube and I think you definitely should be on YouTube." So I took my laptop and I decided to film a video, and shockingly, it did really, really well. I thought, people want to hear me, people want to see me, people want to get to know me. And well, the channel Life with Event was born. Da 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 da. So I want to share with you 3 stories that have really touched my life during these last 5 years of doing YouTube. Shortly after starting my YouTube channel, a woman contacted me. Her husband had ALS and he had a tracheostomy tube and a ventilator. And she had a question for me. Her husband had hiccups that would just last a very long time, and he would get them very frequently. And during this time, her husband was absolutely miserable. I'm sure you would be miserable too if you just were hiccuping all day long. She said she brought up this concern with her husband's medical team, and they didn't know anything about why he was having hiccups, how to treat him. So she was asking if I had any insight or knowledge about this. I was a little overwhelmed because I thought, yes, of course I've heard of this condition. I mean, I remember when I was a small child, I remember hearing the news report, like, next at 6 o'clock, hear about a girl that's had the hiccups for 5 years. And I remember thinking, yeah, there's been a lot of people that have had hiccups for a long time. And I'm sure medicine has changed since I was a little child. I'm sure there are some treatments. So I went online and I searched the term persistent hiccups. After searching, I found out, yes, there are treatments for this, and specifically there are muscle relaxers. I hypothesized based on all the information I was reading that her husband was having these hiccups because his diaphragm muscles were probably spasming and getting into a bad rhythm. He has ALS, and this can happen with ALS. So I passed on this information, basically might be causing the issue, and also that there were muscle relaxers that could help. Either they could be a prophylactic, he could take them every single day, or once he started having the hiccups, he could take it, and it should hopefully help in about an hour to help reduce the hiccups. I passed on this information to the woman in a YouTube comment, and I didn't hear anything back from her, so I thought, well, okay, I hope the information was helpful and I hope she has a great day. A while later, it was about a year later, I got another Facebook, or I shouldn't say Facebook, I got a YouTube comment from her, and she said, "Oh, I just want to let you know, I don't know if you remember me, my husband has tracheostomy tube, he has a ventilator, he has ALS, and he had those hiccups that just would not let up. I want to tell you, I went to the doctor and I showed them your YouTube comment, and they read it and they completely agreed with everything you said. They agreed to give him one of the medicines you suggested, and I cannot tell you what a miracle this has been. He no longer has the persistent hiccups. He is having such a good time, a good life, because he no longer has these hiccups anymore. I can't thank you enough for all your help." I was really blown away. I thought, what? Whoa. A doctor listened to me? Just a random person on YouTube, just a random comment I gave to this woman, and her medical provider agreed with me, listened to me, and was able to help her husband. I was just overwhelmed with joy, with gratitude, because I felt like I was actually helping somebody. I was actually making a difference in the world. And I just was filled with so much gratitude for starting this YouTube channel. About a year ago, I received another YouTube comment from this person. She again briefly introduced herself. She said her husband had ALS, he had a tracheostomy tube, he had a ventilator, and he was the one that had the hiccups. She went on to say that unfortunately her husband had passed away, but she was tremendously grateful for my YouTube channel and for all the resources available on this channel. She told me that her husband had lived 2 years at home, and she was so grateful because through my YouTube channel, she was able to find the strength, the support, the information she needed to take her husband home. When he got his tracheostomy tube and ventilator, they were very scared to take him home. They thought he needed too much care, but she was given encouragement by my videos, and so she decided to take her husband home. And he had 2 precious years at home. He was surrounded by family members. He was able to sleep in his own bed. I cannot tell you how much that means to me. If I would have never taken my mom's dare to start this YouTube channel, maybe this woman would not have found the resources she needed. Maybe she would not have found the courage to take her husband home, and maybe he would have been stuck in a long-term care facility. I am just tremendously grateful for starting this YouTube channel and having that wonderful, wonderful memory of helping her husband get rid of his hiccups and giving her the courage, the encouragement and support she needed to take her husband home and being with him for the last 2 years of his life. In February of 2022, a little less than 2 years of being on YouTube, a person reached out to me on Facebook. He explained he also had a tracheostomy tube and ventilator. He had a medical condition which is similar to mine in some respects, but we also are kind of different in other respects. But we could relate to one another a lot. We had a lot of similar medical challenges we faced. We developed a really nice friendship. We just conversed back and forth. He had some questions about things and I would answer them. And we'd talk for a little bit and then he'd go offline for 1, 2, 3 months until he had another question or he wanted to comment on a video or something. And then he would come back on and we'd chat a little bit and then the communication would break off again. Last fall, so fall of 2024, he came onto Facebook and he had a lot of questions. He was very upset about the treatment he was receiving in the hospital. He also had a cuffed tracheostomy tube, and the hospital insisted every time he went to the hospital, he had to keep his cuff inflated. Now, if you don't know anything about cuffed tracheostomy tubes, when you put air into the pilot balloon, it inflates a balloon at the end of the tracheostomy tube. This balloon creates a sealed circuit, so you get full ventilatory support from your ventilator. That is wonderful, but the downside is when you have the cuff inflated, you cannot speak. So they were making him inflate the cuff. They would come in and talk to him and he was not allowed to deflate the cuff, so he couldn't talk to them. So basically they could do anything and everything they wanted to him. He wasn't allowed to tell them he was in pain. He wasn't allowed to tell them, no, I don't want this treatment, or no, that doesn't work. Talk to my doctor, let's try this. He was not allowed to do that. Basically, they were telling him to inflate his cuff and then he couldn't talk, he couldn't make medical decisions, and they were the sole decision deciders for him. And he was very upset because this was absolute nonsense. He was similar to me. He could deflate his cuff, he could talk, he could have the cuff up and down throughout the day. It did not matter. He was not in any respiratory distress, but the hospital just wanted him with the cuff inflated. So he couldn't talk and he couldn't tell them anything. This would make their job a lot easier. You know, if you're in pain or you need some help, you got your cuff inflated, so they can ignore you. They don't have to give you any services. He was so upset by this. And I basically told him, that is nonsense. You do not need to keep your cuff inflated. If you have permission from your doctor, which he did, you can deflate your cuff. If you're not in respiratory distress, you can deflate your cuff. There is no reason you have to keep your cuff inflated. And as a matter of fact, that is really a lot of discrimination. If they're making you keep your cuff inflated so you cannot talk, that is complete rubbish. And I was so furious for him. So I gave him a lot of tips and pointers and just said, do not let them do this to you. You cannot let them do this to you. And he told me that he has his syringe. So you use your little syringe with the cuff to inflate and deflate. I'm not going to actually do it here. But they would take his syringe and they would throw them out or they'd take them away from him. And I was like, That is terrible because if you don't have a syringe, you can't inflate or deflate the cuff. And that is actually really dangerous for someone on a ventilator because if you get a clog in your tracheostomy tube, you need to deflate that cuff because you need to be able to breathe around it until you're able to get that clog out. If not, you're going to die. I said, no, no, that's you have to have one of these and it has to be near you at all times. I gave him some solutions like put this and then put a rubber band around it on your wrist. So it is always there. And all you have to do is it's always there. I also put them in my ventilator bag. I put them in my pockets. If you give me the hospital gown, I will put one there. I have so many of these syringes around, like literally it's like I have like 10 of them. So I'm always collecting syringes at the hospital and making sure I use them. And if they throw them out, I have tons more. And if I get low on them, I'm like, hey, can I have a saline flush? And then I'm like, clear out the saline. I'm like, look, it's a clean syringe. Anyways, so I told him that was rubbish. Like he needs to have a syringe. They cannot force him to keep his cuff inflated. That is nonsense. So he wrote me this and I thought it was so sweet. He said, I feel like a weight has been lifted off my shoulders. I have been so worried that if I ever have to go to the hospital, that I won't be able to say things I need to say to doctors and nurses, or maybe I could be in pain and not be able to tell anyone. A lot of anxiety has been over this. Thank you so much. Your help really means a lot to me, like so much that I feel like crying happy, relieving tears. LOL. After receiving this message from him, I just said, hey, I'm glad I could help and please feel free to reach out to me anytime. And like always, our conversation kind of just ceased. Well, I didn't hear anything from him, but it was no worries because that's how it always went. About a month later, I received a comment on YouTube and the comment read, I want to thank you so much for helping my son with his health questions recently. She gave me his name. He lost his battle with his lifelong illness yesterday. You helped me too. Thank you so much. Now, I cannot tell you just the grief that overwhelmed me and still to this day overwhelms me. I just get so emotional over this because I was just so happy that he finally was able to have the confidence to stand up against the hospital staff. But at the same time, now he will never, ever, ever have to deal with another hospital with abuse from doctors or nurses. And I was really choked up about this, but I was also praising God that this wonderful person was now at peace, at rest, and he would no longer have to deal with the cruelty of this world. Now, the one question I had is, did he die at home or did he die in the hospital? And that was really a burning question for me, but obviously I was not going to ask his mother. She just lost her precious, precious son. And I didn't feel like this was a very appropriate question. So I just prayed to God and I really prayed that this person did not die in the hospital. I prayed the person died peacefully. And as God likes to answer questions, several months later, and I do mean several months later, like I literally just got this message right before filming this, and I received a message through Facebook from this person, but obviously it wasn't this person, it was his father, and it says, this is Joey's father, just letting you know Joey passed away at the hospital, and he told me the date. He said, I was looking at his messages, and he really liked having you to talk to. So I got my answer for that unfortunately this person passed away at the hospital, and it really broke my heart that is where he passed away. But at the same time, I'm so blessed that he reached out to me over 3 years ago. I was able to help him through questions he had, and I was able to give him the strength and the encouragement to stand up against the hospital and to demand that they give him his rights and to allow him to deflate his cuff and just to demand fair, equal treatment. And I think if I would have never started this YouTube channel, I would never have had the blessing of meeting this dear, precious person. And for that, I am very, very grateful. After starting my YouTube channel, I developed a tremendous amount of support on Facebook. And one of these people was a girl named Ashley. She was incredibly, incredibly encouraging with my videos to keep on going, to keep on making videos, and to keep on just disseminating information to the whole world. I really enjoyed her company, but unfortunately, Ashley had her own medical challenges. She had severe gastroparesis, she had some other medical issues, and she really struggled. She was in the hospital a lot, and I do mean a lot. She was trying to get disability. She had applied for it and she was repeatedly rejected. And finally, she had a court date to be seen in front of the judge. If you know anything about American disability, there are a number of rejections you get before the final, absolute final decision is placed before a judge. The judge makes the ultimate decision. The judge reviews everything, and then that is final. That's the final decision. So either you get approved or you get denied. So Ashley had gone through this process and she had a court date set. She was very, very stressed about this, and she had tried so hard to work. Her employer was phenomenal. Despite Ashley always being in the hospital, they still kept her employed, and they said, hey, work when you can. We don't care. We won't fire you. We just love having you as an employee. At the end, Ashley was in the hospital more days than she was actually able to work. Ashley was not able to pay her rent. She became very behind on her rent, became very behind on her bills. She was in so much financial stress because she was in so much debt. So Ashley was looking forward to this court date, and she was feeling the tremendous weight of absolutely needing to be eligible to be approved for disability. She needed these disability payments. She needed to get out of debt. She needed to pay off her credit card bill. She needed to get up to date with her housing, with her landlord. Unfortunately, as the time approached for her court date, she became very, very sick. She started having seizures. She went to the hospital. They were not sure why she was having seizures. They were doing a bunch of different seizure medications. They really wanted to refer her on to a top medical institute in the nation to get her seizures figured out. Unfortunately, this was getting very, very close to her trial date for her disability. Ashley said, I can't go to another medical facility. It's going to be another week. My court date is coming up this week. If I do not make that court date, I cannot go another month. I can't go another week. I am so broke. I need to get disability. Her doctors, understanding Ashley's plight, reluctantly discharged her from the hospital, saying, okay, do your court date, but then follow up because you are having these seizures. They're uncontrolled and they're grand mal seizures. Ashley was released home. On the day where Ashley was supposed to appear before a judge to get a ruling on her disability, Ashley had a grand mal seizure. Ashley never made it to court that day. Instead, Ashley's family and friends attended her funeral. May her memory be a blessing. Those are just some stories from the last 5 years of YouTube. There have been a lot of highs, lows, and an abundance of love and memories. I am so tremendously grateful to be part of your lives. I thank each and every one of you for watching this, for commenting, for subscribing, for liking, for sharing, and for doing everything to help support this channel, to spread awareness, to just spread kindness to one another. I hope this channel has been a blessing in your lives. I hope it's giving you the resources to care for somebody, or maybe care for yourself, or even just find kindness and love and to spread that to those around you. I hope and pray that in these coming weeks and perhaps years. I'm not sure how long this YouTube channel will stay around. I'm not sure how long I will stay around, but I hope it is an incredible encouragement and an incredible blessing for both you and me. So thank you so much for joining me on this 5th anniversary of me being on YouTube. Can you believe it? 5 years? I can't, and I haven't aged a single day. Thank you so much for joining me. Please remember to like and subscribe down below. Please also remember to comment and share. It really helps my YouTube channel. I hope you have a great day and a wonderful week. Bye-bye.